everybody. As Michael said, I'm here to talk to you about Bill C-51. Now, let's put this in the context of today, where people all over the globe are marching against Monsanto, declaring that we don't recognize the monopoly right of Monsanto or anyone else to decide what farmers can plant, what we can eat, or any other decision which is crucial to protecting Mother Earth and the life dependent upon her. So today we are affirming our right to decide the important issues that concern us and the protection of Mother Earth. Bill C-51 is a direct assault on our right to decide, our freedom of conscience, our freedom of thought and expression. It's a direct assault on our right to organize. And it's directed against everyone who doesn't submit to Harper's conception of Canada and the world, to monopoly right and dictate, to war, aggression, plunder, and environmental devastation. I'm always reminded on days like today that many of these pesticides were actually developed as part of the weapons of war. For example, in Vietnam, where the people today still suffer. So they're linked, crucially and inextricably to the whole policy of war and aggression. And when we speak of, fighting against Monsanto and so on, it's really part of that whole fight for the right of the people of the world to decide their own fate without aggression, without war, without Harper, Obama, or anyone else dictating to the people of the world how they should live, what kind of society they should have. So Bill C-51 is a direct assault on that. It's an assault on the right, because C-51, and this is quite important, it's one of the things that's often not brought out. It talks about the territorial integrity of Canada. In other words, it's a direct assault on the right of First Nations and to assert their sovereignty over their land and what will happen on their land. It's a direct assault on the right of people to say no to the desecration of the environment. It's a direct assault on the right of people to say no to war and to fight for a world in which our rights are guaranteed. So what does C-51 do? I think you're all aware of it, but I'm just going to very, very quickly, go through some of the things that are really important to note about Bill C-51. One very important thing is that the new criminal offenses against the promotion and advocacy of terrorism. But terrorism, according to C-51, the definition is so broad and so inclusive that terrorism is whatever Harper declares it to be. And that's why Michael and other, as Michael said, that people are saying that anything can be made illegal in light of C-51. It's deliberately trying to impose a chill effect to silence the opposition. And so I think it's really important that today we say that we are not going to be silenced. We are not going to be chilled. We are not going to be stopped. C-51 is a direct assault a further assault on the rule of law. Harper, of course, we know this very well, that the rule of law as we have known it as Canadians has been completely trampled by the Harper government. Now, the role of the courts is supposed to be to uphold the laws and protect your rights. But C-51 very clearly states that the CSIS can go before a judge. The judge only has the evidence CSIS provides. The hearing is secret. The evidence is secret, and on that basis, CSIS can be so-called legalized, that CSIS can engage in black ops, dirty tricks, false flag operations, and illegal acts, and acts which are against people's charter rights. So we say no to a police state in Canada.
No to a police state!
Bill C-51, of course, assaults our right to privacy. It creates a police state, and it talks now these days. There's one other point I want to make, that a lot of people are now, this is becoming part of the currency, is that we should have some way of opposing radicalization. Now, the word radical, of course, comes from root. And, you know, all my life, I've considered being a radical mean that you go to the root of the problem, that we want to deal with the root of the problem which faces us. And in this society, that root of the problem is monopoly right. But they have a whole conception of radicalization. Now, who is going to decide which public opinion, or which opinion is acceptable and which is not? And that is part of the police state operation of C-51, that it establishes that it's up to the CSIS and the police and state authorities to decide which opinions you can have and which opinions you cannot have. And we say no.
No!
Thank you, Michael. So what are we doing? I just want to make that point. Now, number one, C-51 is now before the Senate, and there are something like 15 senators who've come out against it. I'm just going to have to read this to you. 15 out of 82 senators have declared their opposition so far. 5 have declared their support, and 62 are undeclared or undecided. So even though the Senate is dominated by conservatives, people across the country are persisting in demanding that the Senate do its duty to defend and protect the civil liberties and rights of Canadians. Now, are we finished after May 30th? Because the next thing is that we'd like everyone to come out on May 30th at 1 o'clock next Saturday, Centennial Plaza. There'll be a rally. As part of the rallies all across Canada from coast to coast, in every major city and many small cities and towns, to say no to C-51 and demand that the senators do their duty. But
no to C-51!
So, we're now not going to be silenced, and we're going to continue. And that work that we're going to continue is leading up to October, where we're saying, defeat Harper in 2015.
Heave Steve!
Heave Steve!
Heave Steve!
Heave Steve!
Heave Steve!
Defeat Harper in 2015!